Welcome to the Bag Maker's Workroom. I'm Chris with Simply Classic, and today is Thursday, November 21st, 2024. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining tonight's live stream. If you're ever unable to join a live stream, no worries. You can watch the replay on our YouTube channel anytime during the week at your leisure. Tonight, we're going to go over a lot of new products that we have in the store. We're going to feature a customer story, which we're super excited about. We're going to have a skill builder, which is going to involve some edge painting. And then we're going to have a couple of great giveaways. So we're going to start with the Simply Classic Scoop. And there's a few things we need to tell you about. One is that I have a new pattern that came out this week, if you're not sure. It is called the Rosanne. And, you know, it's new, but it's not new. Some of you may recognize it. It was a cutting chart pattern for a long time. And I know that a lot of you have made the Rosanne and have done a fabulous job at it. But we decided to turn it into a full pattern because there's a lot of people classes that want to be taught with the Rosanne, and you really need written instructions for that. So we went ahead and made it a full-fledged Simply Classic pattern, and we are going to start out by giving away a Rosanne PDF pattern. Type the word new in the chat, and in just a few minutes we will pick a winner. But in the meantime, I want to go ahead and go over the features of the Rosanne. So we are going to switch to the overhead right now, and we're going to take a look at the bag. So the Rosanne is a designer-inspired bag. It's one that I found a while ago, and actually Rosanne, a customer, posted it on the Simply Classic Inspiration group, and I fell in love with it, and I just could not get it out of my mind. So I decided I needed to go ahead and make a pattern for it, which was the cutting chart pattern at the time, and therefore I named the bag after her. So thank you, Rosanne, for posting this bag on the Facebook group. It is what inspired me to make the bag, make a pattern for it. So the tassel is actually just an add-on, something that it's not part of the pattern, but you can always add tassels, and we actually have these tassel hangers now available in our store. So it's something to keep in mind for the future. But the Rosanne features a really cool flap. So that's purely decorative. Obviously you have this overlay here, but when you open the flap and you open up the bag, you will see it is a good size, kind of like a mid-sized tote bag. So we have a zipper pocket and a slip pocket here on one side. I have another set of slip pockets here on the other. Of course, we have our key fob. And the Inspiration bag actually had snap closures. So this bag, and I really feel like the snap closures do better for the bag because it cinches it closed, and then you're able to close the tab on top of that. Now, there's also in the pattern some instructions for a zipper closure if you prefer to do that, because I know some people really want to have a zipper top closure. So if you do, go ahead and follow the instructions in the pattern for that. I also have a video that I did a while ago that shows exactly how to do that. And so just go to the YouTube channel, you'll be able to find that. And I think all the links for everything are already linked in the description below, and you will see how to do that zipper overlay. But one thing I want to caution you on is that if you make the zipper overlay, you need to make sure that when you stitch it in the up direction. Because if you stitch it down, like we typically do when we do our zipper overlays, what's going to happen is it's going to bunch up. Because the top of this bag is wider than any other part of the bag. So you can't have it going down, or else you're going to have a wider section you're trying to smush into a smaller one, and it's just not going to be very attractive. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then the other thing that the Rosanne features are these faux rolled handles. Now, there is no cording in here. It is simply a piece of faux that we folded in such a way that we're able to kind of get this designer look without having to worry about cording or anything else. It's a nice thin handle and really just adds a great touch to the bag. Okay, so you can certainly get the pattern on the website, the Rosanne, and let's see if we have a winner for our Rosanne pattern. All right, Kim. Congratulations, Kim. You have won the Rosanne. After the show, go ahead and email share@simplyclassic.net, and we will go ahead and get you your Rosanne pattern. Okay. So the second thing we want to talk to you about is just kind of remind you that we do still have some mystery boxes available. So we actually made a few extras. So we have plenty available. If you'd like a mystery box, go ahead over to our website and you can grab one of those. There is at least 5 full rolls of faux, and that's right there, $100 value. But they're only $75 for the mystery box. Most boxes have either a 6th roll of faux, or they have some pretty large size pieces of scrap. Maybe there's just one inconsistency in it. We couldn't sell it as new, but essentially it is. I mean, it's a brand new piece that might just have a small little part that you can't use. So I encourage you to go ahead and take advantage of that. It's a great way to build up your stash and have plenty of faux to practice with, because we all know we like to practice before we get any further sometimes with bags. So the other thing I want to remind you about is Chattanooga. I am going to be teaching in Chattanooga on February 28th and March 1st. And on the 28th, we are doing the Simply Classic Clutch. And on March 1st, we'll be doing the Bircham. So it's going to be at Chattanooga Sewing Machines. Head on over to their site. You can go ahead and sign up for the classes. And I'd love to see you there. We had a great class last time, and I was so excited that they invited me to come back. And then the last thing I want to let you know about is I had the pleasure this week of talking with Janet Szabo. She has a podcast called The Straight Stitch, and she interviewed me, and we talked about all things bag making, everything from how I got started to what kind of machines I use to products, and it was just a great chat. I'm going to be on her podcast on December 3rd. So go ahead and subscribe to her podcast. It's all things sewing, and it's just a great podcast. I listened to a few of them ahead of time, and I just really loved it. She is fantastic. So make sure you mark that on your calendar. And of course, once it's aired, you can certainly go back and listen at any time. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is featured products. And I want to start out by talking about some of our new products. And actually, that's pretty much what we're going to focus on. This episode is our new products. And I want to start out with our hardware. So I'm just going to kind of put our hardware out here so I can show you. I'm not going to go over, everything. Obviously, everything comes in bronze, nickel, and gunmetal. And the new things that we have that I think are really worth talking about are these buckles. This is a center bar buckle. Now, we previously have these roller buckles, which a lot of you have purchased and use and love. But usually you have to add a keeper when you use this kind of buckle. These you do not. So we have some great looking ones. This is obviously the gunmetal. We also have some new purse feet. And these purse feet are screw-in purse feet. So right now we have the prong purse feet, which is they're great. I love the prong purse feet. They seem to work fantastic for me. But these screw-in ones are going to be a great addition. They're a little bit larger than our prong ones, and I think you're going to really love them. Again, they come in all 3 colors. We also have, as I mentioned before, these tassel holders. They do have a screw that comes with them. And obviously you just, make your little tassel, stick it in, screw it in, and then you have a tassel that you can add to any bag or pouch. We also have tassel zipper pulls, but this is a great way to be able to take a tassel and move it from bag to bag. So I really love these. And then the last thing I want to talk about are these O-rings. And I cannot tell you, these O-rings are amazing for a couple reasons. Number one is you cannot tell where the O-ring is joined. It is one solid piece. And I don't know if you can see the thickness of this. These O-rings are super thick. Talk about designer inspired. You put a couple of these on a bag and oh my gosh, it is going to definitely take your bag to another level. They are fantastic. I just love them. Again, nickel, bronze, and gunmetal in that O-ring. Okay, we're going to take a few minutes to talk about our new faux, and we have a lot of them, so I'm going to try to go through it fairly quick because it's again a lot, but they're really great, and I want to show them to you. But before I do, let me show you one thing. We actually got in some satin lining. Okay, so this is a cheetah print, and it is sold by the 18-inch, they're pre-cut, 18 inches, so half a yard, by the full 60-inch width. Now, I played around with this a little bit today, and I went ahead and just put some interfacing on the back, and it just stuck fantastic. I mean, the interfacing it changes the hand of it. Obviously, it's not near as soft and silky. It's more of a lining weight. But can you imagine this in a bag? Like, for instance, here's a black right here. Imagine how great that would look in a bag. I mean, it's just something a little bit different to take your bags to another level. And it just is a fantastic product. Absolutely love it. Okay, now let's start looking at our photos. So we have some new crocodile, and this is what we're calling gloss black. Now you're going to probably look, it's not patent leather, it's not that glossy, but it is glossier than our large scale crocs that we normally have. Okay, so this is the gloss black. We also have a navy and silver. And oh my gosh, this is so pretty. I can just see this in the middle of a bag, or even this with a little bit of silver on the side. I mean, it's so gorgeous. This is our large scale croc, which you all know and love. We have this in several colors already, but we added black, and then we also added a navy. So we now have black and navy in that large scale croc. And some of our other colors are the chestnut and the green, the pale lavender, all of those that you have. The gray is back in stock. Okay, this is one that you've seen before. This is our abstract geometric, and the cream and the black we've had in stock. But we added a couple new colors in this, and one of it is this gray. So it's the gray and black. And this is a super thin faux. It would really be great if your machine sometimes struggles. If you have a domestic machine, this is a great option for you. Another one is black and mauve, and this is not looking as pink on the screen, I don't think, as it is, but it is kind of a mauvey pink color. All right, talk about designer inspired. Look at this. I just love this pattern. I think that this is probably one of out of all the different ones that we've received, I think that this one, and we also have it in a terracotta, are two of the most designer patterns that we have. I mean, look at how gorgeous that is. It almost looks like it stands out at you. So this one here is like a gray with a light blue, like light gray, dark gray, and then blue. And then here we have kind of a brown in the darker triangle, and then I would call it like a terracotta, and then maybe just a slightly lighter terracotta color there. They're just amazing. Okay, these are fun prints, and I'm super excited because when we teach the Bertram class in Chattanooga, these are the prints we're using. These are triangle. We've got the olive and black. We have gray and black, white and black, and then the last one we have is brown and black. And they're just so pretty. And I think paired with a solid black for a handle or accents is just going to be stunning. All right, this is a really cool pattern that we got in that I'm sure you can kind of tell, it's waves. We're calling it the wave. It's just a wavy pattern. And obviously this is the black. It is a really cool looking faux. And I think it's going to be an amazing bag. We also have it in tan. Okay. You can see the waves in that. And then we have it in gray. And you can see in the gray, you can really see the wave in it. You know, the other two colors might have been a little bit hard, but this is really pretty. It's got a darker gray. All right, we have some new solids, and y'all love our solids. The solids embroider great, they quilt great, and they are just beautiful colors. They have amazing drape. You can't go wrong with them. But this is rust. So this is our new perfect color for fall. We also have a mauve. And then we added an olive green. And then also a leaf green. Okay. So this is in addition to the colors that we have in stock that y'all, of course, know and love already. We did add a few new ostrich colors as well. So this is called leaf green in the ostrich. We also have mushroom. And it's kind of a brownish, it's got brownish tints in it, I guess is how I would describe that. And then we have gray. Now, this gray is darker than our very light gray color, and it's got a little bit of metallic sheen to it. It's really pretty. None of the other ostriches have that sheen, but this gray, and it's, I don't know that it's really picking up in the camera, but it does have a little bit of that metallic sheen to it. Okay. We've got navy. And then we added some of our crocodile ostrich. This is the cream color. It's very light. And then we also added denim. All right, we've saved the best for last. These next ones are amazing. These are our new textured faux. So I'm going to try to bring this up to the camera so you can maybe see the texture in that. There's a little bit of a grain in there, and they are just gorgeous. And we tried to pair some of these to match our solid faux. So we have dark gray here. We have, of course, a black. Can't go without black. We have dark teal, bright blue. This is chestnut. Then we have camel. And the camel matches really great with our solid camel. We have the chocolate brown, which matches great with our chocolate brown solid. Cream, again, matches great with our cream solid. Dark brown matches great. And then our absolute favorite, best for last, these are our new suedes, faux suedes. And I cannot explain to you how amazing these are. They feel phenomenal. And I did a test in sewing them today and also with the heat press because I wanted to see how they were going to do. And it did fabulous. It really was just like regular old faux, no problems at all. I actually sewed one, this one here I did on my industrial machine. I did this one on a domestic machine, and they were fabulous. I put a little bit of decibel light on there and just did the normal heat, and it was just amazing. So we have that in navy. And again, we try to pair these with our solids. Of course, black. You always have to have black. We have brown. And look at the variation in these browns. This brown, it is really gorgeous. We have this beautiful blue. We have a gorgeous mauve. And if I can grab this solid mauve, I just want to show you kind of how we tried to pair these, because it really is amazing how they go together. I mean, look at that. Just gorgeous. All right, and then we have our camel, and gray. Now we have a few new aged as well that I'm just realizing I forgot to grab, but you might want to check that out on the website if you like those aged. We have gray and brown and mauve in the past, and we added a dark teal and a hot pink, which is really gorgeous. So anyway, check it out. I think you're going to love them. And then the last thing I want to talk about is our zippers. So we have number 5 and number 3 zippers in all of the colors you see here. So we have the gunmetal teeth in cream, black, white. We have the nickel teeth in a dark gray, light gray, black, white, and cream. And then we have the bronze teeth in a black, tan, brown, and cream. Okay. So lots of new products. We are super excited about all of them. I think you're going to really enjoy them. So check out the website, and we are going to continue with the sharpen your skills. So let me move this out of the way. And I want to talk to you about edge coating. And the reason why I want to talk to you about edge coating, sorry, I'm going in and out of the camera here, is because specifically on this Rosanne, okay, we have got a flap here. And the flap, when you sew this flap, you do wrong sides together, and then you edge coat. And I know a lot of people, they're not really excited about edge coating. And I want to talk to you about it tonight because edge coating really changes the look of the bags. So there's a couple things. You have to prep for edge coating. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show this to you. This is my piece of shelf lining that I use whenever I edge coat. And it is just, it gets, you know, all kind of messed up. When it's messed up enough, I throw it away and cut off another piece of shelf liner. I also always have some kind of rag with me. And I want to show you how to edge paint with a skewer tonight. So skewers, of course, you can buy at your local grocery store, Dollar Tree, whatever it may be. You can get like 100 pack for next to nothing. And so really all of the things I've mentioned here are things that you can buy easily for little to no money. There's a couple of steps that you need to know about when you edge coat that are important before you even start. So let me just set this aside for a second and let me talk to you about that. So I have 2 pieces of faux here, and let's say I want to put these wrong sides together and stitch and edge coat. The very first thing you need to do is either glue or put some double-sided tape on the 2 pieces so that you can put them together. So in this case, I'm going to put some double-sided tape. And the main thing I want to do is make sure that the edges are glued down or double-sided tape down, whichever you prefer to use. Because if you don't put it along the edge, when you go to cut this and then edge coat, your edges are already going to be separating. And you definitely don't want that. You want to make sure that those edges are nice and tight to each other. And so what I would do is go ahead and stick those together. Then I'm going to do a line of stitching. I'm going to take a rotary cutter and a ruler, and I'm going to cut off the excess. And when I do that, I'm going to end up with a nice clean edge. Okay, so like what you see right here. So this edge has been stitched and it has been cut. Okay, and you can see there, it's nice. And that's the main thing. You want to make sure that these edges are stuck together and that it's a nice straight edge. Now, there's a couple of different base coats. You really do want to use base coat when you edge paint. And depending on what I am edge painting is going to depend on what kind of base coat I use. So if I'm going to be edge painting faux leather, I'm going to be using the Ghirardini base coat dense formula. If I'm going to be edge coating leather, real leather, I'm going to be using a thinner base coat. And this is Uniter's. Uniter's has some edge paint, but this is their base coat. And it's just, it absorbs into the leather a lot better. It's much less dense than the Ghirardini. Okay. So since we're doing faux leather, I'm going to go ahead and start with this. And I do want to show you that, and I am going to put my little shelf liner down to protect my surface. So when you edge paint with a skewer, I have my skewer, I hold it like I hold my pencil, just as if I was going to write something. And the greatest thing about this is that you can't get too much on your skewer, okay? Your skewer is only going to hold so much base coat and edge paint. And when you apply this, you really want to apply it at an angle. You don't want to just go straight on with it. It's really more of an angle, and not only an angle in this direction, but also up and down. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a very thin coat, and the first layer is always a thin coat. All you're trying to do is kind of wet this and make sure that it absorbs into the seam, okay? There's two things about edge painting, okay? I'm going to call it the two P's. It's patience and practice. And so this is where you need to have patience. You need to make sure that you give this enough time to dry before you put your second coat in or your third coat. Typically, when I'm base coating, I'm putting about 3 coats of base coat onto the side, okay, which I have that here. Now, from here, I'm always going to go ahead and wipe off my skewer. Of course, once your skewer gets to a point where you've got too much on it, you throw it away and you get another skewer. And the next step, once it's dry, is you can take a piece of sandpaper, just a really high grit, and you're just going to rub it right across the top. Now, the main thing you need to remember about the sandpaper is you're not pressing super hard on the side of your faux. You're just barely taking that sandpaper, rubbing it against the top enough to get any loose ends off. Okay. My favorite kind of edge paint is from Rocky Mountain Leather. It's Vernus, and it comes in a lot of different colors. I've also used the Uniters edge paint. It's whichever you prefer. Ghirardini has a great product as well. But when you edge paint, and I'm doing this in blue on purpose so you can see, once you put the base coat on and it's dry, the edge paint goes on really easily. And the greatest thing about it is that it almost grabs the paint. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and stick this on. And if you get a little bit on your project, you just wipe it off. But essentially, that's all you need to do. So what this does is by using base coat, it allows that kind of layer to be formed so that the edge paint is able to get onto the faux without getting all over the place, right? I know the first few times I tried to edge paint, I had more on the actual project than I did on the edge. And using the skewer makes it really nice because you're not picking up too much paint or edge or base coat, you're picking up just the right amount. So if you've never tried a skewer, I highly recommend that you do. It is, again, practice and patience. You got to make sure you let everything dry in between layers, and you need to just take it nice and easy and just put a little bit on at a time. Okay? So that was our skill builder section. I hope that helps you with your edge painting. I know that's a challenge for a lot of people. And we are now going to talk or go to our Thursday thread. And in our Thursday thread, we had someone actually submit a story, and I want to go ahead and read her story. This is Leslie King from King Craft Studios. And Leslie says, I retired in January of 2020 with all sorts of plans to travel and enjoy my newfound freedom. Ha ha, we all know what happened then. In March of 2020, I hauled out the old Singer that I had received as a 17th birthday present in 1970 and started making masks. I hadn't sewn in decades, but rediscovered how much I love it. I quickly moved on to pouches and bags, and a couple years ago, I made my first Julie, which at the time was the DB Tote. I've since upgraded to a semi-industrial machine, and have made and sold or gifted hundreds of bags, but the Julie is my all-time favorite and my go-to. I recently took the plunge and invested in my own bag tags. I used to think putting a name on a tag or a name tag on a purse was pretentious. I'm no expert. I'm just a hobby sewist. Then through the miracle of YouTube, I watched someone's video and realized that putting a tag on my handmade bags gave them that little extra touch of perfection and literally increased their perceived value. So I want to thank Leslie so much for sharing your story, and you have a great point. Well, first of all, we're going to feature a couple of Leslie's Julies in our next section, Artistry Avenue. But I do want to talk to you about, in kind of using Leslie's story as an inspiration, pricing and value. So we actually got another question from a subscriber earlier this week about pricing. And I want to remind everybody, and for those of you who don't know, we do have an Excel spreadsheet on our website that you can go to. I think it's like $5. I mean, it's not a huge, thing as far as cost, but it does a lot for you. So we have an example of it here up on the screen. And basically it is a 2-page Excel spreadsheet. And what you need to do is to fill in your products. So you got to think about everything that goes into your bag. You have hardware, you have interfacing, you have stabilizers, and then you have your materials, your faux, your or leather, or whatever it may be, your lining. All of those things actually are part of the bag. So what you're going to do is you know what you paid for it. So let's say you buy a piece of our satin lining and you paid $7 for a half yard. That price that you see, column B, will be the $7. But let's say, and the lining, as I told you, is 18 by 60, roughly. So that's going to give you a total square inch price. Okay, so that's column F. So what you would do is you would put in the length 18 and the width 60, and it's going to calculate E and F for you. And then what you do is you tell it how much you used. So maybe you only used a 16 by 20 piece, and by putting that into columns G and H, it will calculate for you the total cost of the lining that you used. Okay, so that's how this conversion table works. The hardware is pretty self-explanatory. You know pretty much what you pay for hardware. Sometimes you might get a pack of 6 or 4 and you only need 2 of something. And obviously you just cut that cost in half or in a fourth or whatever it may be. But what I find, and it's not just in bag making, as I mentioned in last week's live, I was a CPA for 30 years. Most people don't charge enough for their product. And we're talking right here about the actual cost of the product. We haven't talked or said a word about your time that you put into it. So where that comes into play in the spreadsheet is there's a multiplier at the bottom of the, I believe it's the 3rd page or the 2nd page, somewhere in there, and it calculates it, and you have to put the multiplier in. So let's say that, I recommend 3 times. 3 times your cost will cover your time. However, if you live in, we're going to use Augusta, Georgia, where I am as an example, you may not be able to get 3 times the cost. That's just kind of different regions in the country can dictate different prices. So, if you live in California or maybe you live in New York City, you might be able to get 3 times or maybe 4 times. So just make sure that you're fair to yourself and you're fair to the time that you're spending on your products, and don't undercut yourself, and don't cheat yourself, because your time is very, very valuable, and it's something that I think is worth definitely looking at. So if you use a 3-time factor and your total cost is 100, then basically you'd be charging $300 for that bag. Okay. So going back to Leslie's point, I do want to say that she's got a great point about branding your product. You don't have to have bag tags, but it does add a bit to it. The quality of the materials is obviously very important. The pops of color, whether it be the lining or maybe the thread color, the piping, all that comes into play. And then of course the quality of the hardware makes a huge difference. And I don't know about you, but I have had a few situations where I picked up some hardware and it ends up being like almost hollow, and it's like, oh, it's not even, you pick it up and it feels like nothing. So all those things make a difference. Okay. All right, we are now going to go on to Artistry Avenue. And as I mentioned, we are going to feature, well, let me first say, if you would like to be on Artistry Avenue, you need to go ahead and post your completed Simply Classic bag in the Simply Classic Facebook group. Or if you don't have Facebook or you're not sure how to do that, you can email a copy of your or photo of your bag to share@simplyclassic.net. And if you're featured on Artistry Avenue, then you will receive a free PDF Simply Classic pattern of your choice. And this is open worldwide. So wherever you are in the world, we encourage you to make Simply Classic bags and let us be inspired by your makes. All right, so let's take a look at Leslie's bags. These are her Julies, and aren't they amazing? What I love about the Julie is that it is so versatile. So you can see in the bag on the left, she did it in the solid blue, but look at her bag tag. I mean, that adds something to that bag and it adds value to it. I 100% agree. And then the bag on the right, I love the way she changed the pocket. Just one little change like that changes the look of the bag and elevates it. And some people might love the plaid. Some people might hate the plaid. You know how it is. Everybody likes different things. But go ahead and try some different things. And a lot of times the materials you use, that makes all the difference in whether or not a bag sells. Okay. So congratulations to Leslie, and thank you so much for sharing your story. Okay, the other Julie that we'd like to feature is by Debbie, and Debbie made this amazing Julie, and black is so classic, right? You cannot go wrong with black, and she just did a fabulous job on this Julie. Now, Julie is by far our best seller, and it is a pattern that I did. It was one of the first patterns I did, and it just, time after time, it just stands the test of time. People love the Julie. You have a pocket in the front, a pocket in the back, and I will say it is designer inspired. It did come from a designer bag that I saw that I really loved. All right, so we are going to go on to Q&A, and let's see if, I think we had a few people write in, but let's see. All right, Donna emailed to ask, can any of your patterns be made using cotton canvas instead of leather or faux? And Donna, yes, you absolutely can. Now, there are certain patterns that are written specifically for faux or leather, and that would be the Gemella wallet, because the way you finish that wallet is you put wrong sides together and sew, and then you edge coat the bottom. And then the Sorella, and the Sorella is the pattern that we talked about a couple weeks ago. The top edge of that is a raw edge, and so I suggest that you do that out of either a faux or leather and use that edge painting technique I showed you to go ahead and finish off that bag. Okay, and DJE Outdoors says, are you going to carry text thread? Yes, we are. So we have been working with Philtech, which is also, they sell online as Happen-Dash, and it's actually been about a year-long project, and they are going to be, or they're coming out with a new line of Text 45 thread. They're going to have so many colors. They sent me a few samples, and they are gorgeous. So as soon as they get their shipment in, and a lot of us have had supply issues due to all sorts of things, but as soon as they get their shipment in, we will be carrying the text thread. And we're also going to help you pair it with some of our faux. So if we have, you know, a faux and a thread that matches exactly, we're going to let you know what that is. So you can go ahead and grab a spool of it when you get the faux. Okay. All right. So we have a couple of tester photos that we want to show you for the Rosanne. And my testers, I have to say, testing is not easy. And I know I've said that before, and it's true. I mean, these ladies put in amazing efforts. And sometimes they know what I'm thinking, even when I don't know what I'm thinking. I'll just put it that way. So this gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous bag was made by Robin. And this is our blue-green croc. And the middle there is that honey geometric swirl. And it is just beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Love the color combination. She did a fantastic job. All right, another tester photo is Nikki, and Nikki Howard Handmade. And Nikki did it in this ostrich. This is the tan ostrich, and then it looks like she used a solid brown for the handles, for the flap, and for the overlay. And again, she did an amazing job. And then the last one we have is by Carol at C-Rex Design. And I have to say, I saw this when I opened up her photo and saw this, it took my breath away. She was able to take that piece of hardware that she used to close the flap in the middle, and she just ran with it. She added an overlay onto the flap with a pointed edge that kind of mimicked her hardware, and then of course pointed the flap instead of curved it, again to mimic the hardware. This is an amazing job, and I cannot say, I just blew me away. I mean, use this as inspiration, everybody, because she is amazing. Carol is a fantastic tester and just amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay, so last thing is we have kind of a little surprise for you today. We are going to give away a box, a mystery faux box. So we have our mystery, faux leather boxes, like I told you about earlier. They are a minimum of, there are at least 5 rolls. Some of them have a 6th roll. And if you will type into the chat right now, Faux, F-A-U-X, we're going to go ahead and give you a second to do that. And then we're going to let the computer choose a winner. And then we will send you your box of Faux. So it is going to be a mystery. It's so fun. Mysteries are fun. So while we're waiting for the winner to be picked, I do want to tell you that because next week is Thanksgiving, we will not have a live next week. I want you to enjoy, obviously, the holidays with your family. I'd like to enjoy the holidays with my family. We're obviously very thankful for everything. We're very thankful for you. We're very thankful for just all the good things in our lives. And we are going to return on Thursday, December 5th. And of course, we have a lot of great things in store for that live. So we are super excited. All right, let's see if we have a winner. Oh, the computer's still thinking. All right, no problem. So I hope that you enjoy the lives. Obviously, we're excited about them and we want to continue them. We are also want to encourage you to send your stories in, anything you want to share at simplyclassic.net, and also photos, and we'd be happy to share them. And the winner is Rose Thomas. So congratulations, Rose. You won yourself a box of faux leather. So email us at share@simplyclassic.net and let us know your address. And then we will go ahead and get that box of faux out to you in the morning. Okay? So again, I want to thank you all very much for joining us for tonight's live. We will see you in 2 weeks on Thursday, December 5th. And until then, happy Thanksgiving and happy sewing.